Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video we are gonna talk all about Cammy and how you can use her in this season of Street Fighter 5. So let us get started. So what type of character is Cammy? Well, in my opinion, Cammy is a really good rushdown character with a strong emphasis on whiff punishment. You will find that her mobility is generally really good, so she have a good forward and back walk speed, good forward and back dash. Her jumping normals are also quite nice. She have a cross up, she have good hitbox on her forward jumping normals. Also, of course, the ability to change her jump arc with the dive kick is very good, and of course the EX dive kick is also very good as well. There is the Hooligan combination, there is the V skill, there is dashing, so of course she have multiple ways to approach her opponent, which makes him scared and kinda confused about what angle will Cammy attack from. And not only that, you will find that her whiff punishment is also really good. The standing heavy punch is one of the best whiff punish attacks in the game, so that is very powerful overall. All of these result in Cammy having a very powerful neutral game. And if your opponent even isn't whiffing that much, you will find that her standing medium kick and crouching heavy punch are all really good pokes. Honestly, standing medium kick might be one of the best pokes in the game. And again, like I said, she's a rushdown character, so her normals are really good for pressure. You will find that because most of her normals are plus on block, and because of her walk speed, it can lead to sequences like this, where it feels like the opponent's turn is never coming and Cammy is forever on the attack. So that is very powerful. And Cammy also have a really good defense because she have a 3 frame, she have an invincible uppercut or an invincible reversal, her V reversal is particularly good, and she also have really good anti-airs because she have an uppercut. Her uppercut, the light and the medium are really good, and not only that, you can even special cancel them into super to cash in for a massive damage on an anti-air. So that is very good. Again and finally, one added thing that makes her neutral even stronger is her ability to pass through fireballs. Her EX spiral arrow is very good against fireballs, and you will find that even from this range, you can use her heavy punch or heavy kick uppercut to go through fireball. Even V skill can beat fireballs, but of course, you can get punished for that if your opponent was ready for it. Overall, she has very strong neutral, very strong pressure, really good approach, really good throw game, really good shimmy game, really good defense, and really good anti-airs. Cammy honestly does not have much in terms of weakness. There are two issues with the character that I have to discuss though. The first one is her lack of HP. Cammy is among the lowest in the cast, so she is one of the characters with the least health in the game. So if you're not careful and if you are playing too impatient, you can get yourself hurt because she doesn't take a punch. And the second thing is, Cammy is a pretty linear character. She is designed to be very basic and very straightforward. And while she is very good at that, it can also lead to her being very predictable. But overall, she is a very strong character, easily among one of the best in the game, and one that you can't really go wrong with playing. So now we are gonna start by breaking down Cammy's light attacks, and of course I'm gonna start with her crouching light punch. That is her 3 frame. Having a 3 frame is very good defensively because let's say Ryu is doing a block string like that one. Many characters can't interrupt that, but because she has a 3 frame, notice that she is able to interrupt it, right? And notice that Cammy is +6 on this interruption, so you can get a standing heavy punch here. You can get an interruption like that, crouching light punch into standing heavy punch. And that is a counter hit combo and you get a knockdown. So that is actually very powerful. Typically on a counter hit jab, she is +6, so you can combo a crouching medium or a standing heavy punch I personally prefer the standing heavy punch for the added damage, and just it have a little bit more range, so it is more consistent. So the crouching light punch is actually very good defensively, right? To use for interruption, to use on wake up, etc, etc, etc. And it's also very good offensively because the crouching light punch is a very good combo tool. Notice that it said +4 above, and it itself is 3 frames, so it can combo into itself. You can do 2 of them into heavy spiral arrow. You can do crouching light punch into standing light punch and then combo spiral arrow or uppercut, of course. And one great thing about it is because it is +4, it combo into her back medium punch. Cammy have a target combo, the back medium punch into heavy kick. And since this is 4 frame startup and this is +4, this actually is a combo. Notice that this was a 3 hit. So this means that out of her 3 frame, she can do a combo like that one, which is actually very powerful. That was 222 damage from a 3 frame light, which is very powerful. Mid screen, if you want to spin the bar, you can even get a conversion like that one. That is 266. That is almost 26% out of 3 frame light attack. That is very, very good. And one of the added benefits again of the crouching light punch is that you can throw your opponent after it. So for example here, if Ryu is not trying to interrupt, you can use the crouching light punch and you're gonna be in throw range, so you can immediately throw your opponents after, right? So it makes it a really good pressure tool and a really good combo tool. However, there is something you have to consider here. The crouching light punch, as you notice above, is actually 0 on block. So if Ryu is mashing his 3 frame, it will trade, right? I can't even do crouching light punch into throw. Ryu would be able to counter hit me out of it. So this is a little bit problematic because this means that, you know, pressuring or starting pressure with just the crouching light punch is actually not that great. You can't follow up that much. The alternative is that you would have to rapid fire it. Rapid fire is basically when you quickly cancel the normal into another one. Pretty much instead of waiting for the normal to finish and then doing another one, you are pressing it as quickly as you can. And because of this, you can do crouching light punch, standing light punch. And notice Ryu was unable to interrupt, right? Even so, if I do 2 crouching jab, normally he can trade with us, right? But I can do crouching jabs twice, and this will rapid fire, right? Ryu will not be able to interrupt. Or you can do it into the standing light one, right? And Ryu will not able to interrupt. And you can rapid fire the crouching jab into the standing jab, B+2, and then continue your pressure. So you can do something like this and continue on with your block string. So her crouching light punch is very good in combos. It is decent in pressure. However, you have to rapid fire cancel it if you want, and you need to do that into the standing light punch to get the +2 and then get the follow-up that you want, right? Just doing it by itself in pressure like that could lead to you getting interrupted. Now, from that, let's check out the standing light punch. And you know what? Let's talk about the standing light punch, crouching light kick, and standing light kick, because these 3 normals work together fantastically. One of Cammy's best normals is her standing light kick. Typically, the standing light kick is +1 on block, right? So this might not seem that great, but because it is +1, it have very little pushback. As you can see, you can do it 4 times and your opponent can't really do much about it. It have a very little amount of pushback. This makes it a fantastic pressure tool because you can throw your opponent after it. And one of the strongest things about it is that if they happen to block it, you can actually check them with a crouching light kick. So one of the most famous sequences that you're gonna see with Cammy is standing light kick, crouching light kick, standing light punch. You will do something like that if your opponent tries to walk out of your throw range. And this sequence in particular is very powerful. The standing light kick doesn't combo to the crouching light kick, it combos on counter hits. So for example, if we are landing this as a counter hit, this entire sequence combos, but it is very good. Because let's say for example here Ryu is trying to break the throw. So again Ryu is trying to take a grab, right? Let's have him block everything. Right? So Ryu is trying to block the standing light kick and then try to break a throw. You can do the standing light kick, crouching light kick, standing light punch sequence, and that will counter hit him, right? And that is very powerful. Pretty much this is the use of the crouching light kick and standing light punch. They are very powerful in sequences like that. And also again they can be rapid fired into from the crouching light punch. So you can get sequences like this. If your opponent is actually crouching, you can get something like that. So the standing light punch is good because it's +2 and because it can be rapid fired out of the jab and also works really well in this particular sequence. Also the same for the crouching light kick. You can kinda use it to combo into the standing light punch and then do the same thing, combo into spiral arrow. So these are the follow-up normals to your crouching light punch and standing light kick. Pretty much, right? You kinda have to use all 4 of her lights together to actually get a really solid damage. Let me show you another sequence of what would happen if Ryu tried to mash his 3 frame, right? So this is +1 only. If I try to do my crouching light kick, he will trade with me, right? So that is not very good. But because this is +1, I can do my standing light punch. And that will counter hit because it's a 3 frame. So then you can get a conversion like that one and follow up from there. Or you can rapid fire it into the jab if you want, right? So overall her normals are actually very strong. Very strong for pressure. Her light attacks are all really good. One final thing I want to mention is the shimmy potential for Cammy. Again, both of her, out of all of her light attacks, notice that the crouching light punch and the standing light kick leave you in throw range, right? The other normals, standing light punch, you are not in throw range after it, and crouching light kick, you are not in throw range after it. And because of that, you're gonna have to learn how to shimmy out of your standing light kick and crouching light punch. So for example, let's here set Ryu again to try to break the throw. You will be doing a lot of this with Cammy, right? A lot of standing light kick is you're gonna try to take and then you shimmy them or walk forward or walk backwards, bait their throw attempt and then punish them for it. So overall, crouching light punch is very good for pressure, standing light punch is very good for combos and for following up on set pressure along with the crouching light kick, and standing light kick is a fantastic pressure tool. Overall, her lights are pressure. So let us now talk about Cammy's medium attacks, and I'm gonna start with the standing medium punch. Cammy's standing medium punch is a very standard medium for Street Fighter V. It is one of her main combo tools and it is one of her main pressure tools. It is 6 frames and +7 on hit, so on hit you can combo into standing heavy punch or into crouching medium kick, doing something like standing medium punch, heavy punch into heavy uppercut or into heavy spiral arrow. It's one of the main and most basic combo attacks for Cammy, right? It's one of your main and basic combos that you should practice and feel comfortable landing. You're gonna be doing this all the time. Of course, since it combos into the crouching medium kick as well, you will want to combo into the standing heavy punch if you are close to your opponent. If there is a little bit of a distance like that one, the standing heavy punch might whiff, so it is better to go for the crouching medium kick. The crouching medium kick is more consistent in these combos, but obviously you are doing a little bit less damage. However, it is more consistent. But if you are up close, go for the standing heavy. So for combos, the standing medium punch is very good. Another thing that I have to mention is that it is also +3 on block. +3 on block is very good. It is 6 frames and +3. Because it is +3, it will frame trap into pretty much everything she have. So it can frame trap into itself. It can frame trap into the crouching medium punch. It can frame trap into the standing heavy punch, into the back medium punch. Pretty much all of her pressure normals will actually frame trap from the standing medium punch. So that is very, very good. If you happen to land it as a counter hit, for example, so if you happen to frame trap with it into itself, and it happen to land as a counter hit, again, use the crouching medium kick as a follow-up, and it will appear like you see, right? It's very, very good for that. So it is a very good pressure tool. One thing I have to mention about the standing medium punch, and you have to be aware of this, it is 6 frames, right? And the issue with this is that you can't frame trap into it from anything else. So for example, if you do your standing light kick, this is only +1. So if I try to do standing light kick to standing medium, I get interrupted. Standing light punch to standing medium, I get interrupted. Crouching light punch to standing medium, I get interrupted. Even crouching medium punch into standing medium get interrupted. So while it is really good as a block string or in frame traps, it is hard to frame trap into it, if that makes sense, right? So you're gonna mostly be using it is in meaties, as I just showed you earlier. It's gonna be mostly used for sequences like these or out of jumps, right? This is gonna be the main uses for the standing medium punch. Still a fantastic normal, but it is just an issue that I wanted to highlight and one that you have to be aware of. The other thing is the crouching medium punch, and the crouching medium punch again is one of her main combo attacks. It is +5 on hit, so because it is +5 on hit, it combos into itself. This is 5 frames, so that is actually very, very good. It's very good to have 5 frames attack, because in any situations where you are +2 or your opponent is -2, the 5 frame will beat their 3 frame. So for example, if Ryu again is trying to mash, I am +2 after her standing light punch, right? My crouching medium will beat his 3 frame, and then you get a +7 situation counter hit, which means that you can combo into crouching medium kick on counter hit or standing heavy punch, right? Like these are how it usually goes with her. So in any situation where you are +2 or -2, crouching medium punch is your friend. Again, something that you have to consider, it is +1 only, and because it is +1 only, it is not that good if you frame trap with it into itself. So as you can see, you can get interrupted here. What you wanna do is standing medium punch into crouching medium punch, right? This is probably the best frame trap option, or if you want to frame trap after it, use the back medium punch, because this is 4 frames. So this will actually beat his 3 frame attempts like you're seeing. You're gonna be +6, but from this range it is hard to get a heavy punch, so you will have to combo into an uppercut. Right? This is gonna have to be your main block string if you want to pressure after the crouching medium punch a lot. Again, +6, so you either hit confirm the target combo, or you just straight out do the hit confirm to the heavy uppercut. It is nice, but this is kinda technical and hard to do. So really good pressure attack and really good combo attack as well. The third medium punch she have is the back medium punch. This one is fantastic for pressure. It is really, really good because it is 4 frames and it's a medium, which is very uncommon. I believe it is the only 4 frame medium in the game. So because a lot of Cammy's attack leave her at +1, like the crouching medium punch leave her at +1 and standing light kick leave her at +1, this 4 frame medium will beat most of the 3 frames in the game. And on counter hit, it leaves Cammy at a +6 advantage, which means that she can combo into a heavy punch, or you can even combo into something like this. You're gonna be too far to get the crouching medium kick here, so I would recommend actually just straight going for the heavy punch. It's a very good normal for pressures in situation where you are only +1. These are mostly gonna be used after the light kick or after the crouching medium punch. Right? These are gonna be the main situations where you are gonna be using the back medium punch. And this also is very good in combos because it combo out of her light attacks. So if you're doing the crouching light punch or the standing light punch, either of them you can combo into the back medium, which again have a target combo attached to it, which is back medium punch into heavy kick. And this is special cancelable, so you can do jab, medium, and then the target combo into uppercut, or EX Hooligan into uppercut like that one, or into light kick spiral arrow, and then juggle with an EX uppercut in the corner. There are many combo conversions here. I will be showing a combo section at the end of the guide, so if you just are here for the combos, I will be leaving a combo section, but know that it is really good for combos, and it's really good in pressure after the standing light kick and the crouching medium punch. And also it looks like an anti-air, and you can of course use it as an anti-air. So it is a usable anti-air. However, it's not as consistent as you would think. Like sometimes this would whiff or you'll just lose. So it is absolutely workable. You can absolutely use it as an anti-air. I use it as an anti-air myself, and you can get a side switch mix-up, but just like you're seeing, it can lose, right? It is not as consistent as you would think. If you can, I would recommend using the light punch uppercut or the light kick uppercut more, but it is an anti-air option, right? It is an option for anti-air. It is pretty decent for that, but again, I would actually recommend using the light kick uppercut if you can. Now let's talk again about her medium kicks, because again, Cammy medium kicks are phenomenal. They are honestly phenomenal. The first one is the crouching medium kick, and crouching medium kick, like I said, is gonna be used a lot for combos because it combos out of a standing medium punch like we are seeing, and you can cancel it into uppercut or cancel it into spiral arrow. Typically you wanna go into the heavy kick spiral arrow, so that is very strong. And some people say that you can hit confirm the crouching medium kick. It have a 15 frame cancel window, so you can kinda, but it's very hard to hit confirm. I personally can't hit confirm it reliably, so it is if it is possible to hit confirm the crouching medium kick, it is very difficult. It is one of the hardest crouching medium kicks to hit confirm. Of course, it's a low check, it's a combo tool. You can also use it to buffer it to check forward movement. So for example, let's here set Ryu to dash. You can just use the crouching medium kick and buffer it into spiral arrow from a distance like that. If your opponent dashes or moves into it, they get clipped, so you can use it for that. And one of the buffs that Cammy got is the ability to use the crouching medium kick and then EX drill and combo into V-trigger. Typically, crouching medium kick was used as a V-trigger fishing tool. You could use it and combo into V-trigger 1. This would leave you at a +4 advantage, so you would do something like this. Crouching medium kick, activate V-trigger, and then go straight into uppercut. The issue with this is that the activation itself only left you at a +1 and from a distance, and it was hard to hit confirm, so it wasn't that ideal. For this season, they give her the ability to do crouching medium kick, EX drill, and this will leave you at a lot more plus frames. It moves you forward to your opponent, it leaves her at a +6, so you can actually get follow-up combos here easier. You can get something like that now, which is really nice. And on block, if you want to use this, it will move you closer to your opponent, but you are not in throw range. You are +2, but not in throw range here. But if your opponent overextend with a normal, they get thrown. However, if Ryu is not doing a normal, I am not in throw range. So this is something you have to be aware of. Overall, of course, the crouching medium kick is a very good crouching medium kick. It doesn't have as much reach as you would think actually, because as you can see, her leg is going straight through Ryu's, but it's not connecting. So it's not as tall as it seems, but it's still a really good crouching medium kick, all things considered. The final medium is Cammy standing medium kick, and this normal is crucial for Cammy. This is so important, and it is so crucial that you understand what you need to do with this one. Let's here set Ryu to do a standing medium kick. Like he will try to poke, right? That was a failed attempt. Let's do it one more time. It can be kind of difficult to get the dummy to do it as a reversal timing, but here we go. So Ryu now will try to poke us back, right? So he will block our poke and then try to poke back. Of course, like I said, it is one of the better pokes in the game. The range and speed are fantastic, so you can bully your opponents with this, as you can see, right? But this not only set up pokes like that, it also sets up whiff punishes, especially when used in conjunction with the standing heavy punch. So you can do a lot of that, using it to bait your opponent to poke back and then punishing them with the standing heavy punch. This is a very common and very good strategy for Cammy. There is also another thing that is very important about the standing medium kick. And this is actually really big news. The standing medium kick, you can use it as a measuring stick for your dive kicks. So out of this range where your standing medium kick was just whiff, something like that, this is the range where you can use the EX dive kick or the heavy dive kick, right? So from this same range, this is gonna be +2 on block, as you can see, and the heavy can also be used to be plus. So let's do it one more time. If I'm not failing it miserably, right? This can be neutral. +1, +1, +2. So the standing medium kick is not only a measuring stick, and you are not only using it for poke, you can use it to measure how you can space your dive kick, right? It is very, very good for that. And again, as you can see, the space where this is just out of reach is actually the space where you can dive kick. So that is a very important and very big use for the standing medium kick. Overall, Cammy have absolutely phenomenal mediums. Her mediums are among the best in the game, in my opinion. Each one of them is absolutely great, and you really can't go wrong. There isn't that much wrong or bad to say about any of her medium attacks. So let's now keep going with Cammy's heavies, and I'm gonna start with the standing heavy punch. This is primarily a combo attack and a whiff punish attack. It is 6 frame startup, so it is really fast. It makes it really useful in combos because it is also special cancelable, and like we showed earlier, let's say here Ryu is trying to poke with a standing medium kick. It is really good to whiff punish him with the standing heavy punch. Typically it's gonna be buffered into the spiral arrow, preferably the heavy kick spiral arrow or the heavy kick uppercut. Like these are the main ways to use her standing heavy punch. Overall a very strong attack, of course, gonna be a big part of her neutral. Standing medium kick and standing heavy punch go together like bread and butter. The other normal she have is the crouching heavy punch, and crouching heavy punch for Cammy is actually a really interesting normal because it is very hit confirmable and it is super cancelable. It doesn't have as much of a range as the standing medium kick, so you can use it as a poke, but it doesn't have as much range. It is really good on block. On block you'll find that it's only -2, so it is good to use on block like that. And if you happen to land it and happen to land the hit, it is actually confirmable into both super and into V-trigger. So for example, let's have Ryu here at random. You can just straight out cancel into V-trigger on a hit confirm, or you can of course cancel into super. There is a lot of time to hit confirm into that. So this is a really good poke, and again, very good with V-trigger cancelling and very good with super cancelling. And the standing heavy punch is actually quite substantial, or the crouching heavy punch is quite important with V-trigger too. Let's here set it up where our timer is infinite because I want to show you something. When you have V-trigger 2 on, V-trigger 2 have multiple additions or multiple moves you can do out of it. You can do a lunging, lunging air dash or a ground dash, right? It is this ground dash, and this is cancelable from any of her normals. So for example, you can do like a standing medium kick into the dash, standing heavy punch into the dash, or whatever. What makes it really good is that out of a crouching heavy punch, you can actually dash, do the ground dash, and this is plus on block. So for example, if Ryu here is blocking, you will notice that crouching heavy punch into V-trigger 2 dash is +1. So for example, if here we set Ryu to use his 3 frame, right, you will find that you can do something like this, and you will be +1, which means that you can frame trap him with your 3 frame, right, or you can even like frame trap him with your back medium punch, right. So it is useful for that. It is useful as a pressure tool with V-trigger 2, right. In that regard, it is actually pretty nice. And the cool thing about this is, if you happen to land a hit, like let's say we landed it on hit, you're gonna dash and be +4, which means that you can combo a jab into the target combo, which then you can cancel into whatever you want. So the crouching heavy punch is really good for super, cancelling into super, very good for cancelling or activating V-trigger 1, and it is very good in general both on hit and on block with V-trigger 2 in regards to pressure. So that is its main uses. Now let's change and talk about her standing heavy kick. Standing heavy kick for Cammy is gonna be mainly used for 3 different applications. The first one is you can use it as an anti-air. Let's say for example your opponent is jumping, it hits directly above her head like that, so you can use it as an anti-air in this regard, and then juggle into a light or a heavy uppercut, right? Like that is some good strategy. You're landing some good damage with that one. So that is a pretty useful application of the standing heavy kick. Also, of course, it's gonna be it's gonna be used a lot as a punish to Shoryukens. So, for example, because it's a crush counter attack, you can use it and get a crush counter, and of course get the follow-up combo, right? Typically, you wanna use the forward heavy kick after it. It's gonna be a combo choice like that one, right? So that is really good. One other use you might want to use for that is in throw bait situation. Usually when people try to break throws, they don't tick immediately. So for example, here Ryu is gonna try to block and then try to break a throw, right? Typically what happens is people don't really throw right away like that. They will try to delay their throw. And because of it, you can set up, if you want to test this in training mode, you can check out this option, replay interval settings. It will delay the response of the dummy by a couple frames. So let's now say that Ryu is gonna delay his tick by 10 frames, or let's make it like 12 frames, right? Right, he's gonna delay it like that. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna do our crouching light punch and then use the standing heavy kick, right? In a situation like that, if you time it right, you can actually crush counter your opponent. It is particularly useful in situations like these. Of course, there is some risk to this, but again, this is one of the main uses of the standing heavy punch or standing heavy kick. You can use it to catch delay ticks, right? It is risky. This is a risky option because the standing heavy kick hits only standing opponent. If your opponent is crouching, this just whiffs directly over their head and you are totally vulnerable point blank, but it is a use that I wanted to highlight. Now let's move to her sweep. This is nothing too special. It is 7 frames, so it does have it does have good enough speed, and you can combo into it from the standing medium punch like that. But the issue with it is that you don't really need to use it. For the most part, crouching medium kick have almost the same range, and you can do crouching medium kick to spiral arrow for a lot more corner carry and a lot more damage. So why would you do that when you can do something like this, right? Get a lot more corner carry, build more meter, etc, 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 and the risk is always the same. So her sweep is not gonna be used that much. Again, like you see, the range, I mean, it's okay, but it's not fantastic. Very rarely would you see Cammy going for her sweep. It is not that great overall. The final normal Cammy have is the forward heavy kick. This have many uses. Again, you can use it for the maximum damage combos. So for example, if you happen to land a jump in, combo into it, crouching medium punch into heavy uppercut, that did 294. If you're doing the bread and butter combo, that is 292, so that's a little bit more damage. You can use it of course after a crush counter like we just showed. So if Ryu is blocking and then going up for an uppercut, I believe the uppercut was the third option, right? Again, you can use it after the crush counter for a lot of damage. So it have its uses as that, and you can also use it after a throw in the corner. So for example, if Ryu here is blocking, let's say the situation like that, it is useful in this situation to shake your opponent after a throw in the corner, and in situation like that you're gonna be +7, so then you can follow up with a standing heavy punch. So that again is one of its uses. One final use for the forward heavy kick is you can also use it in shimmies or for throw baiting. I don't actually recommend this because it leaves you at -2 and it is harder to set up, like you can see, because it's so slow. But you can kinda use it that way. It is very hard though, like it's very hard to catch that delay timing. The final application is to use it in juggles after the EX dive kick. It will juggle in this instant, so you can do something like this and then combo a heavy kick spiral arrow. Overall, Cammy have decent heavies. I would say the highlight is the standing heavy punch. This is one of the best heavies in the game in my opinion. Crouching heavy punch is also quite nice. It's not the best, it's not the end all be all, but it is a fine normal. The other ones are just kinda there. They're not bad certainly, but I wouldn't say they are like a top tier normals. But in general, Cammy have really good neutral, really good footsies. Overall, her mediums are terrific, the lights are super good for pressure, and the heavy give her decent neutral utilities. So let us now talk for a little bit about Cammy's air normals and her V skills. Of course, I'm gonna start with the air normals. Jumping medium punch is actually really good. It hits at a good angle. So for example, if you are close to your opponent like that, you can do it and it might seem a little bit ambiguous. So for example, like from a range like that, you'll find that jumping light kick will cross up, while jumping medium punch will hit from the front. So it is good for that. It is good for hitting at that downwards angle. Jumping heavy punch is good also for, I will say, a little bit of further range jump. If you're directly above their head like that, I would say jumping medium punch hits deeper, right? The jumping heavy kick is also pretty decent for far range jumps, so you can get something like this. And jumping heavy kick is a pretty decent air to air actually, because it's really horizontal, so it is not bad to use as an air to air as well. And of course, like we just said, jumping light kick is a cross up, so that is pretty nice. One thing you have to consider as well, and I am very sad to that I have to mention it, Cammy have this ugly, disgusting air throw animation. This is notable because it is a good air option. Unfortunately, it does good damage, 150 to 100 stun, and it leaves you in a decent position. It will switch sides with your opponents, so that is important to know. And you can get like a forward heavy kick shake after it, and if you dash, you're gonna be in a plus situation, so it should leave you at a +3 after a dash, so you should be able to dash and hit them grounded. So it does give her OK as well, but it switches sides. It's a disgusting animation, but the move is actually really useful in all honesty. And that is pretty much it for her air normals. Cammy have quite the simple air normals, not that much to go on. The light kick of course is good, and the other one as we just discussed. Now her V skills are not that complicated either. Let's start first with V skill 1. V skill 1 is pretty interesting. It is her traditional attack. I believe it's like spin knuckle attack. I believe that was what it was called. It is weird because it is slow. As you can see, it is pretty slow, and your opponent can hit you out of it. But it is plus on block if your opponent happen to block it. It is +2 on block, so that is nice. So you can frame trap your opponent after it, right? So that is nice. And if you happen to land a hit, you can follow up with a combo after it. So it is good for that. In my opinion, V skill 1 is good to use if you happen to overwhelm your opponent, right? Like if you overwhelm your opponent, you can use it in this regard. It also goes through fireballs, so this bypasses fireballs, but most of the characters can uppercut you on the way. Like they can throw a fireball and still uppercut you. Outside of maybe Urian, I would say everyone else can almost uppercut or parry and punish you. So it is good to use once you have overwhelmed your opponent. You can use it for gimmicks like that because it will switch sides, right? So you can kinda cheese with it like that. Against anyone who is really good, they will be able to stop it with ease, but you can still get away with it if they are overwhelmed. So if you are overwhelming them with hooligans, with dive kick, with jumps and all of that, then maybe you can get to sneak one of it in. Otherwise, it's not really that good of a V skill. V skill 2 on the other hand is a little bit better because you can combo into it. So for example, let's say that we have no bar, but let's say now that we don't have any V gauge, right? You can do something like standing heavy punch into V skill 2, and that's a little bit of V gauge building. Cammy generally doesn't have that, and you can use this in frame traps as well. They are not super tight frame traps, but they are. Let's say for example Nikali is gonna try to take back his turn, so you can do something like crouching medium kick into the V skill 2. If he try to use a slower move, he gets crush countered like that, which build out a decent amount of V gauge. Let's check out the V gauge building below. That is a good amount, and you can then juggle a spiral arrow, a light kick or a heavy kick spiral arrow after that. So you can get a follow-up like that. You can even get a super if you want, right? You can get a super in this instant, and that will juggle. So there is some follow-up to this. There is some merits to this. I don't think either of her V skills are fantastic, to be honest. You can use heavy punch to V skill. This is a true block string. It will leave you at a -5 position, but there is a lot of separation between you and your opponent. But some characters can punish it. For the most part, I would say that V skill 2 is more solid. It's not, I won't say it's good, but it is more solid. You can use it in the neutral, but the range is kinda short. You will be vulnerable to jumps, so the best I will say is to use it in block strings like that, in all honesty, or just outstanding heavy punch to build some V gauge. Overall, her V reversals or V skills are not that amazing. To be in all honesty, in comparison to the rest of the game, they are a lot on the weaker side, in my opinion. So let's now start to talk about Cammy's special move, and I'm gonna start with her usual and the famous Spiral Arrow. Spiral Arrow for the most part is a combo attack. It have other utilities as well, but the main and the primary usage of the Spiral Arrow is gonna be using it in combos. So you are gonna do a lot of this with Cammy, Mega Punch, Heavy Punch, and then combo into Spiral Arrow. Something that you have to understand about Spiral Arrow is that in combos, except for very specific situations, you should always combo into the heavy Spiral Arrow. It combos even from her light punches, so you can get that and get a combo. It combo from the medium kick, maximum range, crouching medium kick, out of heavy punch. The heavy kick Spiral Arrow is the version to go for combos. There are some very specific situations where you might want to use the light, like after the target combo in the corner, because you get a juggle here, but the default one to use in grounded combos is gonna be the heavy one Spiral Arrow, the heavy Spiral Arrow. Of course, the spiral arrow can also be used as a footsies tool. It can be used to punish stuff because it's a really fast attack. So for example, if you happen to block something like this from Nash, you can punish it with a spiral arrow, right? It can be used to punish something like that. Up to something that is like up to -10, you can punish them with spiral arrow. Spiral arrow is really good for that. So it does have its uses. You can also even use it to just whiff punish. So for example, if he whiffed it like that, you can use your spiral arrow to whiff it, to whiff punish it. Even in the neutral as a surprise attack, it's not a bad attack to throw out as a surprise attack like that, but it is risky, and you have to understand that there is risk to that. Now, once you got to use the spiral arrow in combo, you have to understand what to do after it. The spiral arrow is her main mid-screen combo tool, right? Like we said that. And after it, when you dash up, Cammy is gonna be +4. Notice Cammy was +4, right? Let's here stop Nash from doing its 3 frame. So in this situation, it is +4. And because it's a +4, you get to meet your opponent. So if Nash is gonna wake up again with his standing light kick, you can get a follow-up like that one. You can even get more out of this. So for example, you can get a meaty attack into a counter hit combo like that. What you have to understand is you have to eyeball what your opponent is doing, because if your opponent does a back recovery and I did the same thing, I get punished. So you have to visually react to which recovery your opponent did and manually time your meaty. If for example your opponent is waking up backwards, I will manually time a delayed crouching medium punch, and then I will be able to meet him. It's a very good tool, and this and manual timing the meaty is gonna take a little bit of practice. The tips I can give you is notice the dust effect on the back rise. And the character says a line. Here Nash is saying not a chance, right? So when he says not a chance, that is your timing, or that is your cue that he's doing a back recovery, right? Which then you might have to delay time your crouching medium punch to catch him as a meaty. Other things that are notable about the spiral arrow is that the EX will switch sides. This is pretty cool because if you are cornered, for example, you're in the corner like that, you can combo into the EX spiral arrow and that will switch sides. So that is very, very important. Another very huge aspect of it is that the EX spiral arrow also goes through fireball from the first frame. So you can use it very late against fireballs and it will just go straight through it. So that is actually very, very important. Overall, it's a fantastic combo attack, in all honesty, one of the best in the game. It makes her whiff punishment so reliable because look at the range on it. Cammy moves a long distance with the spiral arrow. So for that, it's a very good combo tool. Now let's get to the other one, which is also her uppercut. The uppercut is very interesting for Cammy because the light and the medium ones are really good as anti-airs. So for example, if Nash is jumping in on us, let's have Nash jumping. So if Nash is jumping, you can use the light one and the medium one as an anti-air. You can do them super late like that one and you will still get them. They are invincible to air attack from the first frame. You can also like cross cut with them. So for example, if Nash is jumping at me, you can cross cut. I would cross cut with the light or the medium. The light is preferable for close jumps, so I would recommend cross cutting actually with the light. So it is really, really good for that. And of course, one of the better things about it is that you can anti-air and then cancel to super, right? So you can do that and you will get massive damage. If you have V-Trigger 1 on, let's give me here the V-Trigger. So if I have the V-Trigger on, you can uppercut and then cancel into the dive kick, which is a lot of damage, right? Like that's a lot of damage for an anti-air uppercut. There are some issues with this move though as a combo attack. First of all, it does a lot of damage and stun. So the spiral arrow does 100 damage and 120 stun, while the Canon spike or the uppercut does 120 damage and 150 stun. So it does a lot of damage and stun. But the issue is that you are so far away after it in combos mid-screen. So for example, after that, you are way too far away from Nash, right? Like you can't really pressure him or do much at this point. You might do something like this, but again, that is typically very, very negative. I wouldn't honestly highly recommend it. So in combos mid-screen, you wanna be using the spiral arrow, right? In the corner, I would actually just go for the uppercut because you will be close to your opponent and you get to follow up. The heavy uppercut is also primarily useful at many things. First of all, it's a good far range anti-air. So if your opponent is jumping from far distance like that, you can anti-air them with the heavy uppercut, so that is nice. And it's also, like we said earlier, can be even used against fireballs. So from a range like that, if you react early enough, you can actually go through it with the fireball. I wouldn't recommend doing it that much since you have the EX spiral arrow, but it is an option and it is good to know that it is there. Of course, the EX spiral arrow, this is a wake up reversal, this is a wake up Shoryuken, it is fully invincible, it will beat whatever your opponent is doing. It is invincible from the first frame, and it does a lot of damage. As you can see, 160 damage, 200 stun, so it does a lot of damage. But of course, you know, if it happened to get blocked, or if any of the Shoryukens get blocked, you will get hit by a crush counter combo, so you have to be a little bit careful when you are using these attacks. Let's now discuss the dive kick aspect of Cammy. Of course, Cammy have a dive kick, and it is the Scan Strike, and this attack is actually really important because this allows Cammy to change her jump arc and generally manipulate her opponent while she is in the air. It have a lot of application. Of course, there are 3 different versions: the light, the medium, and the heavy. And notice that out of the same jump, like if I'm doing it like that, the light landed here, the medium will land a little bit closer to Bison, and the heavy will actually almost contact Bison, right? So the light, medium, and heavy, all 3 of them move different distances. Light moves the shortest, the heavy moves the furthest, and of course you also have to consider there is the EX dive kick variant, right? So you have 4 different versions in all honesty. That is very good. And just that in theory is very strong because you will allow yourself to manipulate your opponent. So for example, from this shame jump, I can jump with the jumping heavy kick and my opponent have to block that. So maybe the next time they will try to uppercut or Shoryuken me. So then I can use the light one and land closer to the ground, far from them. Their Shoryuken will whiff and I will land the punish. So the ability to manipulate your opponent and make them second guess their anti-airs is actually very powerful. It is, I can't understate enough how powerful the ability to just feint a jump in or go for a shallow dive kick like that is. It is very good. Remember what the concept we talked about in one of the previous videos, the grappler jump. This is the mother of all grappler jump. It is phenomenal. So let's leave that aspect now and talk about using the dive kick offensively. Typically when you wanna hit your opponent with a dive kick, you want to hit them as low to the ground as possible. The lower it hits, the more plus it is. So for example, if I use a really high EX dive kick, that was -4, that will get punished. That almost hit Bison in the face, right? So that one was really high. If I do one that is a little bit lower, this one was almost at his feet, and that was +3. So the lower your opponent have to block or get hit by the dive kick, the more plus you are. And when it comes to using dive kick offensively, there are the 2 best ways in my opinion is to either use a really early dive kick or what they call instant air dive kick, or you want to use a really late dive kick. Both of them have their merits. Let's for example say that Bison here is blocking, right? And he's gonna try to anti-air me. My regular jump has this timing, so he will prepare himself to anti-air. Now I will delay my jump or my landing with the dive kick like that, and that will mess up with his timing. Notice that this is actually very good. You can get a combo out of that. Like I manipulated my landing recovery and I got a combo conversion out of it. So late dive kick is actually very good as well. You don't only have to focus on the instant air one, the late one is also very strong because it allows you to mess up with their timing. We said before that the standing medium kick is the, let's say the standing medium kick is the benchmark or the spacing tool that will allow you to space your dive kick. Out of this range, the heavy dive kick should be neutral or plus. So for example, if I time it really well from this range almost, right, I can get this to be neutral. If I'm a little bit faster with it, I can get it to be plus. So this time I whiffed. This one was +1. So this is actually a really good range to dive kick. And generally you can also use the EX dive kick from this range. Also it is actually very good from this distance. You're gonna be plus, right? Of course the dive kick is a move that you're gonna have to practice with. The execution is a little bit finicky because the timing, there is a height restriction on it, and if your timing is off, you can get a whiffed dive kick, right? So overall, I would either use a really fast insta air dive kick like these ones, or I will have to use the really late dive kick. These are the best ones in my opinion. And for a really late dive kick, I would recommend using the medium one the most. From my experience, it proved to be the best one. And for the instant one, I will either use the light, this one to bait, or if you are from this range, I would use the heavy because you can get follow-ups like that. If you happen to land it successfully, you can be +6 to +7 or whatever and get a conversion like that. And now about the input method. Typically, I input it manually. I know that there is a tiger knee input where you have to do like a 2, 1, 4 and then 9 input or a quarter circle back and then up plus kick. But the delay and the height restriction makes it unreliable in my opinion for me. There is also another way, and that is starting with up forward and rolling the stick all the way back to backwards. So something like this. If you notice my inputs, right, like this is another input. I will leave it the input now. Check it out. You're starting with up forward, rolling the stick all the way to back. Personally, I don't like either of these. I just do it manually, and sometimes sometimes I miss it like that. But I found that to be the most reliable to get the best one, at least in my opinion, right? So overall, they are really good. The EX dive kick is actually very strong as well because it sets up your opponent in a juggle state. So out of that, you can juggle with a forward heavy kick and then get a spiral arrow juggle, heavy spiral arrow, or you can reset them, right? You can even combo an uppercut here. So you can just straight go to the uppercut. You can straight combo into the spiral arrow if you want. You can press a button and this will air reset them. And then you can cross under, do something like this, and this will cross under your opponent, or maybe stay in the front. You can easily manipulate your opponent with that, and like I said, from a range like that, just out of the standing medium kick range, the EX dive one is super fast, plus on block, and this allows you to do a lot of block sequences into it again. So for example, you can do something like this now, dive kick in and continue your pressure. Some sequences like these are actually really good, right? Now let's talk about the Hooligan. And Hooligan is a very interesting move. It is easily stoppable, to be honest, but it is good to use once you have overwhelmed your opponent, right? Out of the Hooligans, there are 3 different follow-ups. If you don't do anything, Cammy will transition into the slides. This is safe, as you can see, but the EX one is plus on block, and the EX Hooligan actually have a lot of air control over, right? Like you can do forward, and this will actually move it forward a little bit. It kind of auto tracks to your opponent, so that is actually really nice. It have a lot of auto tracking, which is really good. If you press a kick, Cammy will transition into a dive kick, and in general, the Hooligan dive kicks are better or have better frame advantage than the regular dive kick. Notice that when you do them like this, they tend to be more plus, right? And of course, you can press throw, and that will transition into the grab. This is a command grab, but it only hits crouching or standing opponent. If they are crouching, you can't throw them, so that is kind of unfortunate, of course, right? So that is pretty much it for the Hooligan. One cool thing that you can do, which is actually pretty nice, is you can Hooligan and then break out of it and kinda sheath them. So you can do something like this. This can work against some opponents, but it is a little bit of a cheesy tactic. And one cool thing about the EX Hooligan is that in the corner, this is gonna be particularly useful. Of course, the low follow-up is +3 on block, and it leaves you in throw range actually. So you can throw your opponent after it. And after you do the Hooligan in the corner, you can actually reset here. So this can lead to a lot of standing resets. You can actually switch sides here as well. So you can go for a cross-up. Let's repeat this again. The timing is kinda tricky on that one, but you can switch sides like you just seen. So you can use it for some shenanigans that way. Also, it is a very good attack to use out of the target combo, because you can target combo and combo into the EX Hooligan throw. This does a lot of damage and stun, and you can combo into the EX dive kick out of the Hooligan. Then uppercut, that leads to good damage. So for example, with a simple combo for Cammy, a simple jumping combo, you can do something like this, which is good amount of damage and stun for 1 bar, right? Overall, in the neutral, the Hooligan can be used after you have overwhelmed your opponent. If you annoyed them enough with some dive kicks and dashes and all of that, maybe then you can use a little bit of Hooligans and get away with it. You can kinda cheese with it and block strengths a little bit. It has some uses for that, but otherwise I will not use the Hooligan straight away. Except for the EX, like on a block string, doing that is not too bad. Like you can get away with that. The dive kicks, of course, and the Hooligans are some of her key approach tools. It's gonna take some time to get used to them and how to apply them against your opponent, but overall they are very, very good. So let's now talk for a little bit about Cammy's V-Trigger. I'm gonna combine both of them into this one, and I'm gonna start with V-Trigger 1. Which is obviously the superior V-Trigger. I don't think there is realistically any reason to use V-Trigger 2, because V-Trigger 1 is such a strong V-Trigger in all honesty. When you activate V-Trigger 1, it pretty much enhances all of Cammy's special. Notice that the timer is very long, and all of her specials get enhanced. Look for example for the Spiral Arrow. Now it almost goes full screen. And it's really fast and leads to a juggle. It puts your opponent in a juggle state like that. So for example, regular Spiral Arrow will just knock down. V-Trigger Spiral Arrow will put them in a juggle state that you can then combo and uppercut. So this can lead to a lot of damage. You can do a basic combo like that. That is 390 damage, which is almost like 40%. But the main reason that this V-Trigger is so powerful, it's because of the dive kick. This dive kick is very hard to anti-air. It's very hard to stop. It is one of the best dive kicks in the game. It is the best dive kick in the game. It's not even one of... There is nothing that comes even close to how good this attack is. It is a fantastic attack. It's a fantastic get-in tool if your opponent happen to block the V-Trigger dive kick. Notice Cammy was +8. It doesn't even matter how much you are spacing it or not spacing it. Even an awful high dive kick like that one was +4. A really fast one like that one was +10. So you are super plus. You are super plus regardless. And when you land it, you are gonna be +9 at least on hit. This means that you can get a follow-up like that. Like you're gonna be +9, +8, and then you get to do a grounded combo. Right, again getting 380, 390 type of damage, very high. If you have super, you can land a conversion like that, and then juggle is super here for a whooping total really high damage. That was 480 damage from one dive kick that is very hard to stop. The V-trigger dive kick is very strong. Another thing that you have to consider is that typically you can use the EX drill versus the fireball, right? Or the EX spiral arrow. Does about 80 damage, so that's fine. If you have V-trigger, now you are getting a ton of damage. And because the V-trigger spiral arrow is super fast, you can use it to whiff punish your opponent as well. So if your opponent is whiffing something, let's say Ken is whiffing a standing heavy kick, you get to whiff punish. This V-trigger is very dry. It is super straightforward, but honestly super good, right? But you can instantly see the increase in the combo potential, the combo damage, the whiff punishment, how good the air dive kick is. And one really strong thing about it is that the uppercut is actually invincible as well. You don't have to use the EX bar, and it does 160 damage. So you get a really high damaging uppercut, does 160 damage, and then you can combo into the dive kick. So now you are getting 250 damage, 300 stun from a meterless uppercut. That is totally invincible. That is very good. And if you have to happen to land it in a specific way, in some angles you can even continue the combo. So for example, out of a target combo, here I can actually get a super and continue with the juggle. This juggle is a little bit specific. The dive kick has to hit at a specific way, but the easiest way to set it up is out of the target combo, right? And then use the dive kick, and then combo into medium super. And as you can see, very high damage output from a very good and easy combo. Awesome V-trigger, honestly, and the V-trigger activations are very good as well. You have the crouching heavy punch, very hit confirmable. You can then combo whatever you want. Crouching medium kick, you can straight go to the uppercut and then get that follow up. You can use the crouching medium kick into EX spiral arrow and continue your combo. One important thing I have to note is if you happen to land the spiral arrow in the corner, you don't switch sides. So for example, in the corner like that, you will still remain on the out of the corner, or your opponent will remain in the corner. So it's very good for that. And finally, because you can actually spend it super quick, there is a good chance that you get to activate twice, which is very good. Overall, a fantastic V-trigger, zero complaints. It's a very effective V-trigger for how simple it is and how cheap it is to get. Now let's talk about V-trigger 2. V-trigger 2 is a lot more complicated, I think, and I'm not a big fan of it because you are putting yourself in a 50-50. Pretty much what you may have noticed is that Cammy doesn't have an overhead, right? So what V-trigger does is give her a lunging attack or a grounded dash, right? And both of these have their uses. If you do the air dash, right? If you're doing the air dash, you can cancel into it from any of her attacks. For example, you can do something like this and then cancel into the air dash. And the air dash, if you press kick, she does an overhead, and if you press punch, she does a command grab. The issue is that the command grab only hits standing opponent, but of course if they are crouching, the overhead will hit them. That is pretty much the 50-50, right? But you don't get that much out of it. So for example, if you're doing the overhead, you're not even in good range to combo the target combo most of the time. You will get a follow-up like that, which is not that much of a damage, but it is plus on block. The overhead is actually plus on block. It is +2 on block, and it leaves you in throw range. So that is decent about it, but again, the issue here is if your opponent is crouching and you happen to do the throw, you are gonna be -21 in their face, right? So there is risk to it. And why would you use a V-trigger that is risky when you have a fantastic V-trigger that is totally risk-free? There is almost zero risk to the V-trigger 1 dive kick, while with this one you are putting yourself to risk. Of course, you can also use the dive if you want and just use it for that, but again, the conversions isn't that great. If your opponent happen to get command grabbed, you're gonna be +7 here, so you can combo after this. But the timing is kinda strict on it, but it is possible, right? it is possible to get a follow-up heavy punch here. So you can get a follow-up like that. And that's not too bad, but I don't know, I just don't really think this holds anything compared to V-Trigger 1. Finally, there is the ground dash aspect. Again, I don't think this is really necessary. It is cool because you can do crouching heavy punch into the dash and you're gonna be +1, so you can get plus frames out of your crouching heavy punch. Maybe you can do a block string like that one. And it is kinda cool for that regard. And if it happens to hit, you can actually get decent conversions. Even regardless, it can actually lead to good combos. You can get combos like these, which are really nice. But again, like I said, the utility of V-Trigger 1 outshines V-Trigger 2 so hard. It's not a bad V-Trigger, but why would you pick a V-Trigger that have a risky option when you can pick the insane utility of V-Trigger 1? And that is pretty much the case why you will most likely 99% of the time stick to V-Trigger 1 with Cammy. So now before I leave you with combos and Oki, I wanted to briefly talk about Cammy's super or her critical art, because there is a lot of uniqueness to it compared to the rest of the cast. First of all, Cammy has 3 different versions to her super. If you do it with the light, she will hit in the close range distance. If you do it with the medium, it will be about half screen, and the heavy will be around full screen, right? And it is important to know the differences because it can matter a lot in combos. For example, versus Vega here, if I do a spiral arrow into super and I cancel into the heavy super, she will fly over his head, and because that is the range of the heavy. So for something like that, I need to combo into the medium super, for example, right? So let's do it again. With the medium super, I will get the hit correctly, while with the heavy, she flew to the other side. The light could be short range, so it is important to know which one you need to cancel into and punish accordingly. So that is important. The other thing is, because it have different versions, you can actually use the heavy one to escape the corner. So for example, if you are cornered, you got knocked down and you are cornered, you can just wake up with heavy super, fly all the way to the other side of the screen. It's kind of like a get out of jail card. Some characters can punish this, but it is highly specific and your opponent will have to know the punish. That is important to understand as well. Another really big aspect of the super is the post-super Oki. Here we will have Vega try to wake up quick rise, and we're gonna combo into our super. And after 2 dashes, Cammy get to pressure her opponent, right? So you get to dash twice, you're gonna be at plus frames, you can throw them here. Let's say that he's gonna wake up with a jab, or he's gonna wake up with his 3-frame light kick. You get to pressure them here, and let's say he's gonna wake up with a throw. So now you can do something like this. Shimmy and get the follow-up. So it is important to understand that you do get a meaningful Oki situation out of super and to make the most out of it. It's a very good super overall. And one other really cool thing about it is it's very useful in conjunction with V-Shift because it is very fast. The initial, her initial climb to the wall, that is 3-frame, right? And of course, otherwise there will be a little bit of travel distance to the opponent, but the initial portion is 3 frames, so that is very quick. Overall, Cammy is a really strong character. She is quite simple in conjunction to the rest of the cast, or in comparison to the rest of the cast, but she does have a lot of depth to her because of the dive kick and the reliance on the wave punishment and the neutral game and all of that. I hope you at least found this guide useful. I will be leaving you now with the combos section that will show you the basic combos for the character and how you can use them. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. It helps the channel so much. I will be leaving the link to the Patreon page and the Discord server in the description. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.